Hey, what's going on, guys? Thanks for checking out this video on my sports Gematria. In this video, I'm going to go over day 4 of the college tournament for Monday, March 22nd, 2021. I'm going to show you both sides of each game, and it's going to be up to you to determine who you think will win based on the numbers. I encourage you to add additional information on top of this if needed for you to feel confident in your own pick. And if for whatever reason you're curious to know who I'm picking in these games, you'll have to join my Patreon where my picks are always in writing, underlined, and italicized. For more information on that, please read the description of this video. I wish you guys the best of luck in your picks today. Let's go ahead and get today's games. We have Oregon and Iowa, Oklahoma, Gonzaga, Abilene Christian, UCLA, Ohio, Creighton, LSU, Michigan, Colorado, Florida State, Maryland, Alabama, USC, and Kansas. I have my daily numbers on this side. Gregorian, Hebrew, date numerology. This side I have my game numbers. The higher seed is on top, their coach record, their season record, their tournament record. Head to head in the middle, lower seed. Lower seed is on bottom. Alright, so the first game, we're going to do Oregon and Iowa. 7 seed versus the number 2 seed. So this is to advance to Sweet 16. One thing that sticks out to me, Oregon can get their 16th loss in this game, or they can advance to the Sweet 16 and get their 16th loss in the Sweet 16 as a tournament record. But the thing about that is they're sitting on 25 tournament wins, and today, this game is played on the 9th day of the 7th month on the Hebrew Civil, like 97, the 25th prime number. And so they can kind of just sit there if they really wanted them to. Iowa can get their 9th loss for the season to end their run. Today is the 9th day of the Hebrew Religious. But what's interesting is that if we go to the Sweet 16 date, it's going to be played on March 28th, written 3/28. If Iowa wins this game, their coach would sit on 328 losses as a coach heading into this game on 3/28. On top of that, Iowa would have a record of 23-8 for a season record. 3-2-3-8, 3-2-8, 3-2-8 anagrams of each other. And 23 is the 9th prime, and so instead of getting their 9th loss, they can get their 23rd win for the season instead on the 9th day of the Hebrew. If that were to happen, Iowa would become 7-1 head-to-head against Oregon, 71 the 20th prime. Oregon would sit on 20 wins for the season. Oregon coach, he would get his 353rd loss, the 71st prime number. The thing with Oregon, though, is their record didn't change because they advanced off of a forfeit. So if Oregon were to win this game, they would become 21-6, like 216. And Iowa's coach would sit on 216 with the loss, 260 wins as a coach for Iowa with the loss. The thing about that, though, is he can also just sit on that 151 if they head into the Sweet 16, which is played on the 15th day of the first month, 151, 328. It looks kind of good for Iowa, 23-8, 328. The coach is on that 151. Sweet 16 is played on 328, 15th day of the first month, 15-1. But with that being said, it being the 15th day, Oregon can come in with 15 losses in the tournament as well. It's the 7 seed versus the 2 seed. This is their 27th game. So at a first glance, Iowa looks pretty good, honestly, but it is the 22nd day of the Gregorian. Iowa could just sit on 22 wins for the season and get that 9th loss on the 9th day of the Hebrew. 31st game, they can sit on 31 tournament wins. And then the victor would go to Oregon, if that were the case. And Oregon can sit on that 15 heading into the 15th day, and then they can get their 16th loss potentially in the Sweet 16. So a couple different narratives you can play with. Also, Oregon, their coach, he could get his 110th loss in this game today with 66 date numerology, 110 spelled out. Sums to 66. So let's keep it going. Oklahoma, Gonzaga. Oklahoma could be lucky with an upset here. It's their 27th game of the season. Gonzaga can sit on 27 wins with a loss. Gonzaga would become 27-1 for a season record with the loss. 271, the 58th prime number. This is Gonzaga's 58th tournament game. So Oklahoma can become lucky with this one. 125, 124. The thing with Gonzaga, though, is if they were to go to the Sweet 16, Sweet 16 is played on the 28th of March, a day with 36 date numerology, and they would go into that game 28-0 with 36 tournament wins. 28 day with 36 date numerology, 15th day of the first month, 151 to 36 prime. So looking in the future for Gonzaga, it would look good with the 28 and the 36. But they could easily just sit on that 27 and get their first loss as the number 1 seed in their 58th game, 271, the 58th prime number. Oklahoma's 27th game of the season. Oklahoma would become 2-2, like 22 head-to-head against Gonzaga on the 22nd of March. Very, very real possibility. And Oklahoma, they can advance to the Sweet 16 by getting their 17th win, and then they could potentially leave it open for them to get their 33rd loss for the tournament in the Sweet 16. 16 sums to 33. Tall order, tall order. But it wouldn't be the, yeah, and then coach for Oklahoma, 1,1106 game. They come in with a 16-10 record. His next game is going to be the 1,107th, 1107, and they can go into the next game 17-10, 1710. So there's potentially an upset here for Gonzaga. I mean, they look good with the 28 and the 36 heading into the Sweet 16 on the 28th with 36 date numerology, but there's this 271, the 58th prime. It's their 58th tournament game. It's right there. They would get their 23rd tournament loss on the 9th day of the Hebrew, 23 the 9th prime. Probably put that in purple if we wanted to. Abilene Christian versus UCLA. So today's the 9th day of the 7th month on the Hebrew Civil, like 97, the 25th prime. Abilene Christian get their 25th win for the season to head into the next round. They would get their 6th win in a row to head into the next round. The number 6 sums to 16. The next round is the Sweet 16. Although UCLA is the 11 seed, 11 is the 5th prime number. Abilene Christian would get their 5th loss as they end their 5-game winning streak. UCLA would get their 20th win for the season. 20 sums to 55. UCLA would sit on 9 losses on the 9th day of the Hebrew Religious. If UCLA advances, so Abilene Christian, they can advance with six wins, 6 sums to 16. But if UCLA advances to the Sweet 16, it's going to be played on a day, the 15th day of the first month on the Hebrew, like 151. This game today is UCLA's 150th tournament game. So if they win today and they go into the Sweet 16, they would be playing their 151st tournament game on the 15th day of the first month for the Hebrew Religious. So that looks pretty interesting for them. And then it is the 11 seed versus the 14 seed here. Abilene Christian coach can get his 114th loss for his career. But it is the 22nd of March, And UCLA coach can just go ahead and get his 22nd loss as a coach for UCLA as well. So it goes either way on that one. Goes either way on that one. Let's just keep it moving. Ohio versus Creighton. So today is the 9th day of the 7th month, 97 the 25th prime, a day with 154 date numerology. This is their coach's 154th game. It's their 25th game of the season. I guess those two numbers right there would have told you, or told me, or told us, or told everybody that Ohio would be playing in the next round. Ohio, this is their 23rd tournament game. 23 is the 9th prime number. It's the 9th day on the Hebrew. They can get their 9th tournament win, 23 the 9th prime, or Ohio coach can get his 23rd loss as a coach for Ohio. So that swings both ways. Creighton, they can get their 9th loss for this season if it were to go in Ohio's favor. Ohio coach could sit on 22 losses as he gets his 35th win. The reason why that 35 is highlighted in bright because they would advance to the Sweet 16, and it would set Ohio up potentially. So if the coach got his 35th, it would set him up to potentially get his 36th in the next game. And the Sweet 16 is played on a day with 36 date numerology. It's also the 15th day of the first month, a 36 prime number. So that could be a reason for Ohio to upset in this game and head on to the Sweet 16 for their coach to potentially get that 36th win on a day with 36 date numerology. Today is the 22nd of March. He could sit on that 22, or Creighton could get their 22nd win for the season as they sit on 22 losses for the tournament with a win. Creighton's next tournament game, this is their 36th. Their next game would be their 37th. And Sweet 16 is played on the 15th day of the 7th month. 157, the 37th prime number. Creighton's coach, he can get his 253rd win as a coach for Creighton. 253 is the 22nd triangular number. They can sit on that 22 and then get their 22nd win. So some interesting numbers for Ohio. Ohio could just go ahead and get their 18th win for the season. The word 18 sums to 46 today with 46 date numerology on the Gregorian. Although if Creighton does make it to the next round, they could potentially lose in the Sweet 16, and that's when their coach can get his 256th loss. 256 has a square root of 16, and he could potentially get it in the Sweet 16 if they were to win this game and head into the next round and lose in there. So you can definitely just play around with numbers. Ohio, if they were to advance and then lose in the Sweet 16, it would be the 15th day of the Hebrew, and Ohio can get their 15th loss at that time. If they wanted them to. So different routes you can look at. LSU and Michigan. It's the 9th day of the first month on the Hebrew Religious, like 91. This is Michigan's 91st tournament game. 91, the 13th triangular number. 41, the 13th prime number. Michigan coach can get his 41st win. 41 sums to 46. 46 date numerology on the Gregorian. He would then sit on 16 losses as Michigan advances to the Sweet 16. Michigan would get their 22nd win on the 22nd of March. But LSU, if they have something to say about it, can go ahead and just even the score 2-2 head-to-head against Michigan, like 22 on the 22nd of March. See, it's the 9th day of the Hebrew Religious. LSU would just continue to sit on 9 losses for the season with the win. LSU can also sit on 25 tournament losses with the win today, the 9th day of the 7th month on the Hebrew Civil, like 97, the 25th prime number. And then LSU coach, he can just sit on 41 losses as a coach for LSU with the win. 41 sums to 46 today with 46 date numerology. So there's different ways you can play with it, with that one. 21-5, 1-8. 27 game would be their next one. if LSU gets their 28th tournament win, they would go into Sweet 16 on the 28th of March. 28 wins. It is their 29th game, though, for the season, and they potentially could get their 10th loss for the season. I'm going to go ahead and mark that, just in case. Michigan, same thing. LSU can get their 28th tourney win and head into the Sweet 16 round on the 28th of March, or Michigan can sit on 28 tourney losses and head into Sweet 16 on the 28th. So that 28 goes either way for that one. Let's keep it going here. Don't want to take too much time. Florida State, Colorado. Colorado, it's the 9th day on the Hebrew Religious. Colorado can become 23-9 for a record with a loss. Get their 9th loss on the 9th day. Sit on 23 wins, 23 the 9th prime number. Florida State would get their 23rd tournament win, the 9th prime number, if that were to happen. What's a bummer about Colorado, though, because if they become 23-9 for a season record with the loss, 239 is the 52nd prime number. And Sweet 16 is played on a day with 52 date numerology. So if they were to become 23-9 for a record with a win, I would say they would probably get it heading into the day with 52 date numerology. But maybe it's a thing for Florida State to beat Colorado so they can become 23-9, the 52nd prime number, as Florida State heads into the Sweet 16 on a day with 52 date numerology. Colorado, though, they can sit on 16 tournament losses with the win as they head into the Sweet 16. And Colorado can get their 24th win for the season in Florida State's 24th game. Florida can get their 18th win for the season or their 18th tournament loss. 18 sums to 46. Today has a 46 date numerology on the Gregorian. It's the 22nd of March. Florida State could become 22-18 for tournament record with the loss. Today does have 12 date numerology on the Gregorian. They could be 12-16 as a tournament record. Colorado heading into the Sweet 16. And then they would get that 24th win against Florida State in their 24th game. Outside of that, not a whole lot pinging me. If Florida State did get their 18th win, Colorado coach, he would get his 143rd loss. 143, or excuse me, 18, I should say, sums to 143. But the thing about that, though, is that can go either way as well, because date numerology for the Gregorian on the Sweet 16 day has 18 date numerology, and 18 sums to 143. And Colorado coach can get his 143rd loss on that day if they were to beat Florida State. So it just kind of goes either way. You just have to play with these and just kind of see, make different scenarios. You can always come up with something on either which side, and then you just got to determine what you think makes sense to you potentially. Maryland and Alabama, not a whole lot numbers here. Today with 30 date numerology on the Gregorian, Maryland coach, he can get his 113th loss as a coach for Maryland, the 30th prime number. Alabama, they can get their 22nd tournament loss as their coach gets his 22nd loss as a coach for Alabama on the 22nd of the Gregorian. However, Alabama played on the 79th day of the Gregorian, the 22nd prime, and they did not get their 22nd losses on that day. So I don't know why they would get their 22nd losses on the 22nd. I mean, maybe not, I don't know. If they're not going to get their 22nd loss on the 79th day, the 22nd prime, it just makes me think it being the 22nd of March doesn't really matter either. Maybe, I don't know. It is the 9th day of the 7th month for the Hebrew Civil, 97 to 25th prime. Alabama could just sit on 25 wins for the season with the loss. Maryland would get their 18th win for the season. 18 sums to 46 today with 46 date numerology on the Gregorian. If Alabama does win this game, though, they would get their 8th win in a row as their coach sits on 64 losses. 64 has a square root of 8, and then in his next game, it's going to be his 64th game as a coach for Alabama. So maybe that's what they're gearing it up towards. He can sit on 64 losses as he coaches 64 games with Alabama, and they would do it on an 8-game winning streak. 64 has a square root of 8. So that could be what they're gearing up for. It's subtle, but that could be what it is. Alabama, this is their 32nd game. They could become 2-3 head-to-head against Maryland, like 23 or 32, whichever way you want to look at it. But Alabama could just sit on 23 tourney wins with the loss today. 23 the ninth prime. Today is the 9th day on the Hebrew religious. So I'm going to have to keep looking at this game a little bit more. There seems to be some sneaky stuff here. Maryland coach, he could get his 222nd win, and it is the 22nd of March. So maybe that's when the 22s do kick in. I don't know. But I'm going to keep looking at it. I don't want to take up too much time. Wait, we're second. Yeah. All right, last game, Kansas versus UC or USC. Today has 66 date numerology on the Gregorian. USC coach, he can get his 110th loss as a coach for USC. 110 sums to 66. But I say that because Kansas potentially could get their 110th tournament win as a team as well, which sums to 66. It is the 22nd of the Gregorian on the March. Kansas can get their 22nd win. It's the 9th day of the Hebrew religious. USC can sit on 23 wins, the 9th prime, or Kansas can get their 9th loss. Kansas coach, he could potentially get his 523rd win as a coach for Kansas. 523 is the 99th prime number, so maybe that's the 9 connection. And then Kansas, I mean, it is March 22nd, 322 or 223. Kansas coach, he can get his 223rd loss, the 48th prime, as Kansas gets their 48th tournament loss. USC would become 15-21 for a tournament record with a win. 15-21 has a square root of 39, and they would also get their 24th win for the season at the same time. And 24 sums to 167, the 39th prime. All right, so I'm going to cut it there. One last thing I will say, though, for Kansas that could potentially be favored. Men's basketball championship sums to 105. And Kansas could become 10-5 head-to-head against USC, like 105. And if they do get that 22nd win, their coach can just sit on the 222 losses, 222. 222. But there's some numbers here for both sides. Definitely wish you guys the best of luck in your choice. Hopefully this video helps with all these games to give you some insight on what to look for potentially for either side. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Thanks for watching.